Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're remote.
Again.
Yep. 2022 starting off shockingly similar to 2021.
Yes.
Not really approving. Hopefully this is just a, one-off for an episode or two. We'll kind of see. Jeff had a bunch of people at his work who got the Rona and or exposed to the Rona.
Like everyone at work is getting tested at the moment. A bunch were leaving in the middle of the day. It was all right, cool. I didn't do anything all weekend and I'm totally fine, but I might get fucked by everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's the story of the entire pandemic, is the people who have done the right thing have been fucked by everyone else. So,
and especially now with Omicron, it just being the world just being all right, so everybody doesn't have COVID already, so we're just gonna fast forward on that and just have everybody get it.
Yep.
Real quick.
Yep. So, Mile High Dungeon Delvers is also going to be remote tomorrow because one of our members has the Rona, and so they're going to power through remotely. So we'll see how that goes. And it's been 9 months since we did the remote thing, so I'm sure it won't be a complete and total disaster, right?
Yeah.
As long as all of our recordings are fine. Seems fine so far.
Yeah.
Seems fine.
Yep.
I vaguely remember how to do this. I already even deleted the old files out of the Dropbox, so we don't have to wait for that.
There we go.
Hey, there we go.
Hey.
Perfect. So there you go. There's your engagement period, that we're all remote, and that's the world.
Adrian gets the nice audio.
Yeah, I've got the nice studio equipment. Although Jeff, you're on our old mixing board at least, right?
Yeah, but I mean it's fine, I guess.
Yeah. If we'd known this was going to happen, I could have sent you a better mic, but alas.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to blame you, Adrian, for not knowing that he was going to get exposed.
That Jeff was going to get massive.
That my entire workplace was going to fucking explode.
Yeah, you should have known better, Adrian. It's real dick move to not let him know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely around 2 o'clock that it was all falling apart.
Great. Isn't that normally your time to go home?
3.
And you said you're going to be switching schedules, right?
Because it's only me and one other guy, so instead of just making him do the nights all the time, we're just going to swap back and forth week to week. So I'll be leaving at 3 o'clock one week and then leaving at 6 o'clock another week. And then back to 3, back to 6.
At least you don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it'll be nice sleeping in a little.
But then traffic.
It's 9 something. I don't know. It shouldn't be too bad.
Okay.
Going in at 10 o'clock, hopefully.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Fingers crossed. So let's move on and get started with some what we've been playing. We'll start there, and then we'll go into Banter, because Banter is going to be on fire.
Ooh, too soon.
Yeah, not great.
It's 100% direct reference to, my New Year's weekend. Anyway, what we've been playing. So, Jeff, how about you start? Because you and I played the only game we played together.
Yes.
And that will segue into me, and I will end with the game that Zach and I played together, and that will segue back into Zach. Although Zach played this first game with us, so we all three played it. So,
Whoa.
It's almost like when we used to talk about games we streamed.
Anyways, we played Canvas, which is a card construction point game.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're building paintings based off what was it? 4 scorecards? 4 scorecards.
It's 4.
Four of them, yeah. It's kind of like a set collection kind of a mechanic.
Yeah, you draft cards from a row, and then to go deeper into the row, you have to use your little inspiration tokens. The first one is free, so it's kind of one of those kind of drafting. Then you can have up to 5 cards in your hand, and then instead of drafting, you can put exactly 3 cards into a painting sleeve, which you have 3 of, to try and match the scorecards, which there's a bunch of different symbols and then 5 different colors. And
yes,
you are trying to match the symbols with each other, or a set of 3 with another set of 2, or specific ones in sets of 2, so you're trying to get like two triangles. But if you have 4 triangles, you can score that one twice, and you get ribbons every time you score these. And on the bottom of each card is how many ribbons you have. Will get you a certain amount of score at the end, depending on how many ribbons you had, with a couple little like printed on victory points, depending on like get a silver ribbon for every shading icon you had. That would be outside of your regular scorecards.
Yeah.
But what's fun is each of these paintings is a clear like card builder, a la Mystic Vale.
Mystic Vale
card
and like
crafting.
Gloom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you sleeve them together, they make a painting that has a unique name as well.
And like kind of unique elements, you know, so it might have like one of your cards might be like just an empty like bird cage, and then like another one might be like a little girl like reaching up in the sky, and one might be like a bunch of meteorites, and you can combine them and it makes a weird painting that might be like, you know, childish ambition or something.
Yeah.
You know,
weird. And depending on how you layer
names.
those, it can be named differently, because the symbols on the bottom, it's only whatever is face up, and so if you have like 2 symbols that are red, it's whatever one you choose is the top one is the one that's actually going to be showing. So
yeah,
even within 3 cards, you can have variability in how that painting looks depending on what you're trying to go for.
Yeah. We played it with 5 players,
which
and
the game can play with, but I would not suggest playing 5.
like I said, I think 5 would be fine, but if I was ever going to play 5 again, I would only do 2 paintings. I wouldn't do all 3. It really started to drag towards the end. I feel like 3 or 4 players would...
I think with just 2 paintings, then you're losing out on, like, you're not scoring a full game with 5 players. Then if you're only doing 2 paintings, so
I'm not convinced that that's really going to make that big of a difference for me.
Well, when you get those more ribbons, there's quite a multiplier in score.
Yeah, so it'll be a slightly closer game with 2 than 3.
I would say just don't play it with 5 people.
Yeah, there's 0 interaction. The most interaction is you drafting the thing that someone else wanted.
Yep.
Yeah.
But overall, the set collectingness was fun. I liked how all the paintings looked after everything lined up at the end. We all had sort of fun stuff. Some were a little weird. Like, they weren't... Like, the way that the scoring ended up, it was sort of like, oh, there's just something at the edge of the painting and nothing in the middle, so it didn't quite look great, but...
There were definitely some that were more aesthetically pleasing, and then there were some that were better scorers.
Yeah.
So, especially because, I know at least for me, I had at least one painting that I could have made where it was just 3 things that were all on the left. And, like, the name wouldn't even have been a full name of a painting. It would have been the first word of it. Because how the cards were coming out, and with 5 people's, the ones that had any value to me, they kept being on that left side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the rules were fairly simple. I mean, the game has a 1.6 complexity, so that's definitely on the medium light to light side. One fool called it a medium weight game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got 2 actions.
Cool.
Take an art card, complete a painting. Yeah, it was neat. I got it for a couple bucks when I bought the networks from someone on Facebook. I was like, oh, I'll take Canvas too. I heard that's pretty good. And it's a pretty decent little drafting card construction game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good aesthetics.
I definitely feel like it's one, if you don't appreciate the actual construction of the painting that you're making, then you're not going to get much out of this game. But I feel like if you're there for that, then there is something in the game, but it's, like you said, fairly solo, very solitaire in terms of just you just trying to figure out what you want to do. And rarely, especially with 5 players, I would see a painting come out, like a thing I'd want, and I'm like, that's not going to be there by the time it gets to me, so I'm not even going to bother looking. So
yeah, it's like, why bother planning my turn when nothing will matter by the time it gets back to you?
Yeah, because everybody has the same scoring conditions that they're going for. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like I have my own, and so then we're focusing on different things. It's, hey, we all want to score triangles, and this one has 2 triangles on it. Obviously, the first person that will be able to reasonably get it is going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Adrian won.
I did.
I got second. I don't remember the rest of the
Wes got
scores.
third, I got fourth, and then other guy got fifth.
Other guy.
Yeah.
I don't
New
remember.
guy.
Yeah, new guy.
I don't think I ever got his name. Despite the fact that there were only 10 people at game night, I didn't get one of the 10 people's names. Yeah, I really liked it. Wes and I were definitely getting a kick out of like some of the way, like, because of that mix of trying to make an aesthetically pleasing painting, but also like just trying to make a good scoring painting. Doing things like when something would come out really bizarre or weird, just making a joke of it of like, oh no, you don't get it. It's subversive. And just making like jokes about art being pretentious and stuff. Which I thought was fun, but I legitimately enjoyed trying to actually make really good paintings that also scored well. And I mean, I won, and so I feel like I certainly achieved on the scoring well. And I liked all 3 of the paintings. I was sending them to Megan. She was at work while we were playing, so I was sending pictures of my paintings as I completed them to her. And I dug it. I was even joking, or not even joking. I was saying when we were first playing, like starting to play, it was like, man, I kind of just want to fuck around with the game and like not play it, just root through everything and try to make cool paintings. So yeah, I dug the putting all the different sleeves, I don't know, cards into the sleeves and stuff. The painting making, multi-use card stuff was really cool for me. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems like 4 players is definitely the peak of the game.
Yeah, which I wouldn't think 4 would really cut down on the time from 5 that much, but maybe it does. Maybe it makes a big enough difference.
It might be more like, oh, I might actually get a card that I was looking for, but maybe not.
Yeah. 5 is definitely one of the worst. Like 5 is worse overall than 2.
From what I can tell, it's just like between 4 and 5. 5 is just another person is taking their turn in between it, in between you taking another turn. So it's just adding more time to it.
Yeah. So
and that is because it says like 30 minutes for the game, and that's where it would drag it to probably 45 or so. And then that's,
we might have even been an hour.
Yeah, and that is, I would say, a little too much for that game.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you go to BGG for this one, they do have one of their images is like 10 cards that have been like fully assembled that are actually like, I think, really good examples of paintings of like a potential painting, and like gives you a good idea of how some of them can really come together very well.
Yeah. But looking at least at some of them, it's like, well, these are not going to, some of these are not going to score well at all. So,
well, it depends on what scoring's out.
I'm looking at the center bottom one, sudden warning, right? It's got the 2 victory points thing per
color mix, but no color mix.
No color mixes at all. There's no triangles. There's no color mix. It's only 1 square and then 3. Like, so it could, or the one next to it has 2 different scoring things on it, but only one of those actually appears even once. So yeah. These ones are definitely made for, here's how it can look aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. There is another picture on the BGG that I recommend going and checking out. It looks like somebody took a card that they made in the game and then painted it. It's what the box cover, I think, maybe is based off of.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, so there you can make the box cover in the game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Neat.
It also does not look like it would score super well.
No. And I want to say the Kickstarter edition, or at least not the edition that Jeff has, came with these wooden easels that you could display the painting on. But that's all it is just for displaying the painting that you've made. So
yeah,
yeah.
Because I remember because I played this game once when it first got delivered, I think, and I remember seeing those easels. So
Yeah, looks like some of the photos here, like they actually have wooden ribbons instead of cardboard punch-outs too.
Yeah, but
So,
that doesn't mean anything for this game, so.
Definitely not. So, but yeah, so that's Canvas.
Oh, yeah, and it had like it comes with a little play mat too to kind of line everything up, which is nice.
Little cloth mat.
Yeah. And there's an expansion around the corner for it as well. Whenever that's going to come out, but
I wonder if it'll add just more or if it'll add anything like new to it.
Yeah. There's no way to know because
not much information.
Well, you can't because all the pre-orders are out and you can't pre-order it anymore.
Alrighty. Moving on from there, I played 2 other games. Megan and I got another game of Descent in. It was our first loss in Descent.
Was this a side quest?
It was a side quest, and it was noticeably harder, I feel, than some of the main quests.
Was it a character unlock side quest?
No.
Okay.
I think the character unlock ones are still like main quests, not like the main story one, but like I remember they're like side quests are like black or gray, right?
Yeah, they're black, and they say side quest instead of like right, because right now we finished a mission. Because you had like 2 character side quests. We have all the characters unlocked, and then we did like 1 or 2 other side quests that were like tagged to specific characters, and then it opened up. Like we got to where we only had 1 of them we could do. We did it, and then after that, it opened up where now there's 3 main quests and a side quest and like 3 or 4 narrative events.
Gotcha.
And we went and did the side quest. I think so. We also fucked around on this one a little bit. We'd gotten kind of complacent with some of them where like the game continues to spit out enemies if you like don't do anything.
What difficulty are you playing at?
Just normal.
Okay, all right.
And in previous storyline missions, when it kept spitting out enemies at us, we were able to usually have like 1 or 2 people kind of keep them at bay at a choke point while like the other 1 or 2 characters ran around and like looted the rooms or stuff. We were able to take a little bit more time to do that, to like focus on like our individual characters' feats that they need to accomplish to like unlock more skills and stuff. And we were doing a bit of that, and then we were like, oh no, we've fucked around too much, and now we're in trouble. And we just had some really shit luck with what enemies targeted who, and like there were I can't remember which enemy it is. I think they're like the whites or something. Every time you attack them, the version we were fighting, every time that you attack it, it adds +2 damage to a random enemy. And apparently the 4 or 5 attacks it took to kill that guy, all of those extra 2 got added to one other.
We've had that happen. We had that happen once.
And so it was like just out of nowhere, one of the people hit us for like 10 damage. And it's just like,
I guess I'm wounded now.
Yeah, I want to say one of the times it happened, I think it hit Paul and it just straight knocked him from full to the neck, 2 wounded in 1 hit. Even with defense, it was like even no amount of defense I could do would stop this from knocking me down.
Yeah. So, we took our.
Did you lose? Did you lose by somebody going all the way down then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So Chance, Megan was playing Chance, and Chance got wounded and then injured, wounded again or whatever, minor and then major and then dead.
Yeah.
Or although not dead, but like, you had to retreat.
Yeah.
And it sucks because we were very close to we were right, like maybe like our next hero turn we would have won. And I didn't realize, neither one of us is the other thing. Neither one of us realized that if one character goes all the way down, it just ends it. We thought that they had to leave, and like if everybody went down, it ended it.
Oh, gotcha. No, it's been part of Fantasy Flight's cooperative games recently that if one person dies, then that's it. That's what happens in Mansions of Madness, like the new one. That's what happens in Lord of the Rings, the new one, and in this one. So that I could see
Assault even.
I thought it was Imperial Assault. It was just once everybody. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It makes sense, but we weren't expecting it.
Gotcha, yeah.
So now that we know, we'll do things differently. But unfortunately, now we don't have that mission anymore. I did like also, even though we had to retreat, all the stuff we had looted up to that point we got to take with us. So we still came out pretty
Oh yeah,
pretty good
Yes.
for it being a side quest.
Yeah, it's not like it is like, all right, that whole thing didn't count, as you get to take most of it, so it's not a complete wash. So
yeah, Megan was still pretty frustrated because we played it on a night. I had the day off. We both had that day off, but then she had to work the next morning, and we started it fairly early, like 5, I want to say. But then by the time like we did all of the pre-mission stuff of like leveling up cards and sorting everything out and getting all of our skills squared away, and then started the mission and then played through and then finally lost the mission, it was like 9:30, 10, and she was like, I did not expect to be playing this for 5 hours and then fucking lose, and it kind of put her in a sour mood. So so we'll see when we come back around to that one.
That's definitely one thing. Interesting thing to me is that how much stuff is in that game that isn't just the game, like isn't just you in a mission. There's like so much stuff is happening in either in the town or little narrative events that come up, and then especially like when you're walking to places, little events that come up in between those.
There's like a story event in between anywhere you go. Like the walking animation plays, and somewhere along the walking animation, you'll get a really short little like paragraph event, and then coming back from that mission to the town, same thing. So you get like minimum of 3, encounters every time you go outside of the city, which is really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
We're starting to get where we hit skill level 2 last time we played before this one. So this is the first mission where we could take level 2 skills.
Gotcha.
And so like having to decide, like, do I take my really awesome level 2 skill or do I take 2 pretty good level 1 skills?
I want to say that's roughly where we are too, Jeff.
Yeah, we're only like one mission past that, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely still looking forward to playing. I tried to leave it set up so that we could have played again, but we didn't get a chance to. I don't know when we'll get to play again. With snowboard season really starting to ramp up and take off here, our free time at home is going to be a little bit more limited. If we have the same free time off, we're more likely to be off snowboarding or something. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, so that was Descent. And then the third game I played was on Friday. Zach came over and we played March for Pandemic.
We played February and March.
We played February. Oh yeah, that's right, because we did 2 of them. So we did February and March in Pandemic Legacy Season 0. So and February went pretty well. We ended up getting a success on it. I don't feel like February introduced any really major new mechanics until the very end. And that's all I'll say about that for spoiler reasons. But it was definitely something where, like, at the end of it, it was like, oh, well, I'm glad that things worked the way they did because this could have been much worse.
I'm glad that I would say it introduced just the mechanic of, like, partially doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to fully do it, and it seems like it was good that we were able to fully do it.
Yes.
So,
and then we went into March,
yes.
and
I just remembered what you were talking about.
Yes, yeah. That's what I figured that would trigger your memory.
So we went into March a little bit relieved that we didn't have to deal with basically an entire new mechanic that could potentially start in February.
We've generally not had much of an issue with that mechanic. That mechanic will repeat.
I figured it probably would.
Yeah.
But we generally haven't had too much of
a problem. Okay.
Yeah.
March did not go as well for us overall. We were doing okay at some aspects of it, and then it was one of those where it's kind of like, oh shit, we only have like 6 turns left. Can we even finish both of these objectives?
And part of it was due to a like turn 1 escalation.
Yeah,
so
it
was
first draw off the top of the deck, escalation.
So we had to spend time, instead of setting up, we had to spend time dealing with that shit. And this one involved us, it involved, teams that we had to get set up. And we were really hard up on the Soviet team cards. The Soviet affiliations, whatever.
Affiliations, yeah.
And in order for us to fully win that one, at one point, Adrian had to draw a Soviet card out of the deck, and he could not.
It's like it was like there's 3 Soviet cards left in like, I don't know, 9 cards in the deck. It's like 3 of them are Soviet cards. I just need to draw 1 of them, and I didn't.
Yep. Because that was the only way. That was gonna be the only way that we had enough to get him the cards to create the second Soviet team. So
yeah,
it was.
So we ended up a deke on that one, adequate. Because we still were able to finish out one of the objectives at least.
Yes.
Which is nice. It's keeping things progressive, and I do really like that in Season 0 that they added that additional state. Instead of it just being pass fail, like there's pass, sort of pass, and then fail. So I'm digging that. I'm really digging it overall. The whole game, it feels familiar enough that it doesn't. Especially now having played 2 other full legacy pandemics, things like setting up and stuff go a lot quicker. It's like, okay, there's all these things we need to do, and we need to do them in such and such order, and then we got to check the deck, and then we read some cards, and then we play, and then we read some cards, and then we put it away, and we do upgrades, and all of that's familiar enough now from the other legacies that it really flows well. But this one, the mechanics and things are different enough that I'm really enjoying it. I was a little bit skeptical when I heard it was going to be like, Cold War era, because it's like, well, going from the storyline of the first 2, I don't know how they're going to make that interesting or exciting, and they did, which is impressive to me.
And I will say, both February and March, we got dangerously close to running out of agents to put on the board.
Yeah.
And that is an annoying feeling to be like, I know exactly what we have to do, but the quickest way for us to do that means that we lose before we have a chance to do it, because we have to get rid of, we'll run out of agents to be able to put on the board. So having to balance that, especially near the end when it's like 3 to 4 agents are coming out every turn, you're like, you got to get at least that many off the board, otherwise you're further depleting that pile. So
yeah, we'd get to the point where it's like, okay, well, shit, there's we're getting close to probably an escalation, which will be 3 agents. And then we're going to draw 3 cards, and so that's going to be another 3 agents. We need to have at least 6 agents in the pool. And we probably better have some extras just in case something really weird happens from an escalation or something. So
and that's where those teams are real nice.
Mm-hmm.
That once you move into a place that they just clear out all, when they mop up, they clear off every agent on there, assuming that it's the right affiliation. So
yeah. I love the thematic idea of there just being in the 60s vans of CIA, KGB, and neutral agents running around the world, just snatching up a whole bunch of Soviet spies.
Yeah,
just off the streets of anywhere.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you're in Moscow, and we just snapped up 3 Soviet agents in Moscow. Ha 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 ha! Suck it, KGB.
Yep, and we've had our first hits on having to lose some cover, and so,
our exposure.
Yeah,
one of yours has 2 scratches now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Although,
so
since the thing that you scratch off, if it's empty, is gray, it looks similar to what you're scratching. The first time, I just kept scratching because I'm like, it's not coming off, and I just got to the white paper underneath.
Yeah, little bit of an over scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. The original printing had a lot of scratch off issues that were fixed in later printings, I guess.
Gotcha.
Ah, okay.
Especially in your passport books.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a known issue. We've had the same problem with ours.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah, but I'm still very much enjoying it. Have you guys actually lost one yet, or is
lost
it just
once?
Okay, but at how many adequates have you had?
One.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure.
All right. Okay.
Cool. Well, Zach, you want to bring us home here with the last thing that you played?
The last thing that I played is the first thing that we've played chronologically out of all of this, which was before we played Canvas.
I may have played Descent before this.
The fact that you say may means that you didn't, so we're just going to just go with that assumption. And so I played a game called Mapmaker, a gerrymandering game, and that's what the game is about. You have this just this section of map that's in hexagon, in a series of hexagons, or not hexes. Yeah, no, it is hexagons. and there are 4 different parties. They're blue, red, green, and yellow, and then they have the donkeys, elephants, porcupines, and leafs. I don't know if in the book they actually call them by their actual party names, but those are Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, and the Green Party.
Mm-hmm.
And on the board, everybody puts down. You have 10. Is it 10? We'll say it's 10 tokens. You put them all face down, you shuffle them up, and then you separate them out on the board. You flip them over, and they have numerical values of 1 through 10 of your color, and that's basically your voting strength in that region. And by gerrymandering, you're making a bunch of districts to try and get as many different districts in your favor and the least amount for other people. On your turn, you have 4 wooden lines that you're putting down on the board, and you're basically everybody's drawing these districts. The districts can be anywhere from 4 to 7 spaces, but it can't be more than that. So there is, you can force people to be like, oh, I had this one thing that was off. It was trying to be part of a different district, and by cutting it off, it means it has to be part of this other one instead. But then on your turn, you just place 4 districts, and then you place 4 lines, and then whenever you finish a district, then whoever has the most power in there, and if it's tied, whoever closes it off gets to choose who gets control of it, and they place one of their I was blue as the Democrats, and so I'd place a blue donkey anytime I won I had the most power in the district, and it's just going around until everything has been made, and it's whoever has the most districts at the end of the game. And then if there is a tie, then there is 1 token that's a 0, that if you have that in your district, that's the tiebreaker basically. And then ties outside of that are the 1s and so forth. It was interesting. I mean, I sort of like those political games, and it was real. I mean, I'm sure it sounds very simple, which it is, but there's also a lot of, you're trying to block off people. So like one of the first things I did is Wes was playing, and he was the Green Party, and he had these like 3, he had like I think a 10, 9, and 8 around each other. And so like one of the first things I did is I split that up into 3 different districts. Like I cut it that they could still be combined, but it's very easy to, make them part of their own to try and cut a lot of that power. Or you try and surround, a bunch of somebody's power to try and make it just like super saturated. Because like the Republican guy, I think he had one space where it was like 5. There were 5 spaces in that district, and 4 of them were his. And so it's like if you're trying to cut off their power there so that you can spread yours out more. And we ended up, it was 3 people had 4 districts, and then 1 person had 3 districts. It was a Libertarian Party, which I liked that they had the least amount.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah. It seemed like the district, like there was a good chance just from the outset that I was like, man, unless somebody's going to run away with it, that 0 space seems super important. So I made sure that I surrounded it in one of my districts, and I ended up winning because, like I said, there was 3 people that had 4 districts, so I ended up winning with that. And then the other people, I think they tied because they both had a 1 in their districts. But yeah, it was interesting. It didn't take that long, like 45 minutes maybe, and I think it'd go quicker having played it again. And what was that game, that Gray Fox game that we
I just saw it, yeah,
that I backed,
Campaign Trail,
but it's not, I mean, obviously it's not the same thing as that one because that's an actual like campaign thing where this is like carving up districts and stuff like that, but I enjoy those style of games, like you're trying to fight for those sort of things. And
I mean, election not like bad behavior, I guess, like not really illegal, but similar to financial crimes. I can see why you'd like them both.
Yeah. It's just taking advantage of people. That's fun.
It's really what Zach's all about.
Talking them against their best interests is yes. But yeah, no, it was. I enjoyed it. I would definitely play it again, and I would say if that does seem interesting to you, there isn't anything beyond that, but I think it's just you looking at that and hearing about it, I feel like you would be able to figure out if you'd be interested in it or not.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
That's all I've played.
Well, I think that wraps up what we've been playing then. So we can move on to some bantery banters.
Good old banter.
Yeah, I'll start with the big bit of news for the region that some of you may have been aware of. A good chunk of north suburbs of Denver caught on fire New Year's Eve. So, like, Jeff, I think you were the first person that I heard really mention it because you had to drive to work and the wind was blowing over semi-trucks.
Thursday, the day before New Year's Eve.
Yes, it was Thursday.
Was it Thursday?
Yes, it was.
I didn't go to work Friday, so...
Okay. Well, because I'm trying to... Because
it was Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah,
I know it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Don't try and gaslight
Anyway.
us, man.
Yeah.
I want to try a little bit.
You're just gonna fail at it. Don't.
Anyway, so Thursday, I think, Jeff, you were the first person I heard really mention, like, oh shit, there's like a fire.
Yeah, it was.
But
I had a half day, so I was going into work at noon, and when I drove by about like 11:40 or so, when I was going on 36 over the hill into Boulder, like I could barely keep my fucking car on the road. The wind was so absolutely insane.
I've saw many places it was like 70, 80, even upwards of 100-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yes.
Like up there on the west side of Arvada, down south. Yeah, and that's the second time like within the last month or so that we've gotten fucking crazy winds.
Yeah. Just something about the way the mountains are there. A ton of wind comes blasting down out of there and can really fuck some shit up.
It was some extreme sustained winds, too. And then on my way, I saw the fire, and I was getting on foothills. I was like, oh, the fire's fucking right there. I could see just a huge line of fire. And I was like, holy fuck, with this wind, that's going to be bad. And then I saw 3 knocked over trucks on foothills on my way into work. Yeah, it was real bad. And then I kept seeing online.
Did it getting worse?
It got a lot worse. They evacuated the entire town of Superior.
And Louisville.
Longmont.
Louisville.
Louisville.
Because, Louisville's right near to Superior. Right next to it.
Yeah.
And then they started to do parts of Arvada, including right near Nick. We're getting like pre-evacuation stuff, but it didn't end up coming down all the way, which is good.
Yeah, once the winds died down, it sort of just stopped progressing.
Yeah,
which was at like 7, 8 o'clock at night. It was still pretty late.
Yeah,
when that finally happened.
Yeah.
I know for me, like when you'd first mentioned it, Jeff, I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like hopefully that doesn't.
It was a grass fire. It was just wide open plains.
And we've had a very dry year, so it was crispy grass and a bunch of wind, and
I mean, you can't really expect anything but crispy grass in mid-December anyways.
Oh no, I know. But I mean, in mid-December, like we haven't had any snow or anything like that.
Yeah. So it's been a record low moisture fall and record warm fall, so it's drier than it even ever is in winter.
Yeah.
When you had first mentioned it, like I was out running some errands, like I went to get lunch with Wes, and then I had an optometrist appointment, some other shit like that, and just like every time that I stepped outside, like the wall of smoke north was bigger and closer, and it was just like then as the evening progressed, it was just watching that pre-evacuation line like march further and further, like southeast. It was like, how far can it actually get? Like, is there a chance it's going to get down to me?
If the wind continued to be sustained, I bet it would have been a lot worse. But thankfully, that died.
Yeah. I was a little worried, but I was like, it's going to have to do a lot, I think, to get over.
Yes.
Like once it came down here, like getting over like Wadsworth and all that stuff. It
got over 36 just fine.
But I mean, I think but we weren't experiencing like that level of wind that they were.
Right.
I guess is what I mean. So
yeah. And it was one of those things. If it had gotten down to like us, like if it had gotten to either, like if it had gotten to me, it would have been to you. By the time it had gotten to us, like it would have been like, I don't know. It was like 600-700 homes, maybe more.
Yeah.
It'd have been thousands of homes by the time it got to us. It would have been rapidly becoming one of the worst fires in American history, not Colorado history.
Yeah. I do remember. Yes, I do remember when like sometime earlier this year, maybe where we had fires that were like near up in Boulder and stuff like that. But it's not
closer to Estes.
Yeah. And then like I had my mom message me and she's like, "Oh God, I heard about the fires. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "They're like a long ways away from me. If something got to me, it'd be wrong." And I was able to, this time when I talked to her about it, I was like, "Well, here's a picture," and I didn't have to zoom the map out very far to be like, "Well, here's where the fires were, and here's where I am."
Same. I was sending people that, and I was like, "If you look at a map that shows the fires and shows downtown Denver, I'm almost exactly equidistant between downtown Denver and the fires."
Yeah.
So it was a little nuts. It definitely prompted Megan and I to have a conversation of like, well, if there ever is a big fire like that, like what's our plan going to be? Like what things are we going to try and grab out of this house?
Yeah.
If we got to pack everything into our 2 cars and get the fuck out.
That's what Nick and Megan did. They as the like once they could see the fires from their house, they were like, okay, we're going to pack up, and then they hung out over here for the rest of the night until the evacuation notices went down.
And I was wondering where they ended up. I messaged Nick. I messaged them both and was like, "Hey guys, if you need a place, I'm pretty close by, and we've got a dog door." So, So we're all fine though. I don't think anybody I know really lost anything. Like Nick and them did briefly evacuate. I know Megan had a coworker whose parents' house did burn down. But other than that, nothing. Nothing
Jeff,
too immediately personal.
Yeah, Jeff, you had mentioned that there might have been some coworkers.
Yeah, one coworker's house was around that area, but I haven't heard anything. And then another ex-coworker's house, they did evacuate, and the flames were at like the end of the block, but I haven't heard anything from them.
It's crazy seeing some of those pictures that is very reminiscent of like tornadoes, where it's like you see an entire neighborhood like destroyed, and then there's just like 2 or 3 houses that are just fine, like in the middle of it somehow, that they just didn't get hit.
Well, I drove by there today because it's my commute to work.
Right. Yeah.
Like I couldn't see the other side of the Costco and the Target. But it seemed like there was some fire damage there. You could, like, the smell of...
Oh, I bet.
It was like, oh, yeah, this was on fire recently. But there's, like, a Chuck E. Cheese there, and, like, the corner of the Chuck E. Cheese burned, but, like, everything in between, like, the Costco and, I think, there was a hotel that caught on fire and burned to the ground, but that was, like, a half mile from, like, the Costco, which there's a big video of that being evacuated.
So there's a lot of big videos of that being evacuated.
Yeah, I know the Target got like that got some damage. Did the Costco too?
It didn't look like it, but I mean there was a bunch of trucks and stuff out front that either they were like trying to like remove all the stock from the building or save what they could from there. But it was like you said, it was so random what was on fire and what wasn't. But there was so much snow you couldn't really tell how bad everything was.
Oh yeah, because right after all of that, it snowed.
The snow played a huge role, actually. Like, the snow started late that evening, and it played a huge role in, like, really killing that fire fast, instead of them having to go around putting out hot spots for a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for how long it lasted, it was quite large.
Yes.
Which it was not that long, I guess.
No, well, and it's one of those things,
7
like,
or 8
it's
hours.
It's the worst fire in Colorado history in terms of, like, number of homes destroyed, but it was only, like, 1,600 acres versus like we had one in 2013 that was 16,000 acres.
Oh, we had some
the
some
ones
of the
in 2019 were the
biggest,
first and second largest of all time in Colorado.
Yeah.
It's just like those happened out in the mountains and stuff like that, which there's
there
a
are
lot more,
homes, but there are not thousands. So I guess
exactly. Yeah.
The 2013 ones I mentioned because that was the second most destructive in terms of homes destroyed.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, it is now the second. It was the first because it destroyed about 600 homes, but it took 16,000 acres to do that versus this one only taking 1,600 acres.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was just cow pasture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was nuts. But
yeah, the news today was it was not downed power lines that.
That's what I heard. Yeah,
I had not heard that.
What was downed was telecommunication lines, which would not start a fire.
Yep.
And there are search warrants out for where they have pinned down where the fire started now. So
was it fireworks?
No, well, we don't know yet. But it could be. This story could take a really weird fucking turn.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like how fucking cagey you're being. You're gonna have to share more with me when we're off the air.
Yeah, it's real fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because I assumed power lines with the high wind, but I would not have been surprised, like, with it being right around New Year and, like, how much people love to shoot off fireworks for stupid reasons around here, despite the fact we're constantly a tinderbox. I would not have been surprised if it had ended up being fireworks or something. So we'll see, I guess, what ends up coming out of that.
But right now there's 2 missing people. There was 3, and they found 1, so... We'll see if this comes out with no casualties, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on from that, however, let's talk about more happy banter stuff.
Yeah.
I went snowboarding. First day at Bluebird. Their opening day was Thursday. We were supposed to go up, and Megan worked Thursday, Friday, so we didn't get to go up either of those days. We went up Saturday, and it was fucking amazing. Snow was so nice. There was like no crowds. The handful of returning staff, like it's lifestyle industry, ski industry kind of stuff. So people work a season and then they go do something else for a season and then they may or may not come back. So a lot of people have not returned employee wise, but of the ones who did, most of them still remembered Megan and I. And so that was really cool having people like be like, oh, hey, you guys are back. Awesome. Good to see you. And chatting with them. We did 3 runs, which was a significant improvement over our first day last season when we did like 2 small runs and thought we were going to die. We did 2 big runs and 1 small run, and only I thought I was going to die. Megan seemed to be doing very well because she's on a split board finally instead of snowshoes, so she's much better equipped. But yeah, the snow was great. Good lines, nice fresh deep powder. Just a whole bunch of fun. The only thing that sucked was driving 3 hours through snowy roads there and back because it snowed here in Denver starting Thursday night all through Friday. And then it had snowed in the mountains like all of the last 2 weeks. I've been dying to get up snowboarding. I really had fun with Megan and my mom in town, but there's a part of me that whole time that was just watching the snow pile up at like Copper and Winter Park and be like, oh man, I want to go snowboarding so bad. But yeah, so that was awesome. It was really nice to get back out. That was for us our day 4 on the mountain. And then we're going to try and get 5 and 6 coming up this Thursday, Friday. And I'm awfully tempted to have my first ever call-in at work. Call-in Wednesday, because Wednesday's also looking like it's going to be a pretty nuts day snowing up there. So we'll see. Snowboarding's awesome. I love it.
Woo.
Woo.
I've started watching Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. It's funny, after you mentioned... When you're like, Zach, oh my god, this episode, I was like, oh yeah, it's a great episode, and then I just rewatched that episode. Are you into season 2? Yes. Flex Mentalo.
Flex Mentalo.
Yep. Oh, I
Danny the Street.
Yep.
I just got past the Undead portion, Undead Patrol.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. They're all pretty good.
Yeah.
This show can't be cheap. Every episode seems like there's a whole new fucking set they've built for whatever shenanigans.
Well, and what
is it not animated?
No, it is live action. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like this is like I think the show that best represents in the best way like how bonkers fucking comics can be.
Oh, absolutely.
But then how to to translate it into the vision, like into a television medium and have it work.
Yeah.
Because it gets real crazy. It also gets real fucking dark and hard, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. like the villain in the first season like breaks the fourth wall, but to the point of where he knows he's in a superhero TV show. Like complaining about he hasn't even been in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah. Or like reading reviews of the penultimate episode and then everyone's just like, oh, it went out with a fucking whimper, and then he's just like, well, fuck, now I gotta have this giant but it was all like mental and like getting up on someone, like, oh, now we're gonna have to have a big fucking finale.
Yeah.
And that did you so are you into season 2 now?
I'm in season 3.
Oh, you got all the way to 3. Shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You went full bore in that, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I didn't do anything over New Year's. I watched fucking Doom Patrol.
Well done, Jeff.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, season 3 ended like November last year.
And I think season 4 is starting in March or something, maybe? I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's impossible to find information about.
Yeah.
Definitely won't find out right now.
I don't think I really have anything else bantery wise. Didn't do that much since last episode.
I was able to catch up on a lot of stuff. I was able to watch a lot of stuff that I've been meaning to catch up on, which was good. I watched the first part of the new JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean, which was real good. It's an anime. And Jeff, you still need to get caught up on that. You still haven't. You still even haven't, like, what makes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like, it?
I practically just got through the prologue.
You're still basically in the prologue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, is where you're like, oh, this is what it's about now. Holy shit. Like a new fighting mechanism comes in that just is like, okay, well, now we're gonna go fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then I watched, I'm halfway through The Witcher Season 2, which I've been enjoying.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through as well. Maybe episode 5 or 6, something like that. Well, I guess there's only 10 episodes, so that would make sense.
And then I also, there are like two or so other seasons of just other anime that I was like, oh, I can finally watch this, because I was sitting on my ass because I broke my toe. So.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened.
Yep.
How's that feeling now? A couple days later, is it getting any better?
Yeah, it's getting better. It's better now. It's not. Like I just have to let it heal. It's the problem when you break a pinky toe it wasn't even. It was aligned correctly and all that stuff. So it's just like, all right, well, I just gotta, don't
hope for the best.
Yeah, hope for the best. Don't put shit on too much. Wear the boot if you feel like you need to, or wear shoes if you feel like that's gonna be more comfortable. But just let pain be your guide, is what he said. So
I assume you just smashed it on a coffee table or something.
Yeah, caught a corner of a post.
There you go.
Oof.
Yep,
that'll do it.
And it was one of those ones of like, I stub my toes a lot, or not a lot, but it's not infrequent.
I've heard,
and so. It always hurts immediately, and the fact that I did this, and then after like 1 to 2 seconds, it like didn't hurt. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad."
Well, there you go.
There we go.
I don't know. Anything else? Anything else from either of you guys?
I don't think so. I didn't really play much video game wise. I played this. I played a little bit of the Rift Breaker. It's sort of like Total Annihilation's resource management system, with a little bit of Factorio, but not really, because you're not having to build lines between everything, but you're still building a factory, but you don't have to worry about getting, when you mine that single piece of ore, you don't have to build a belt to get it to the smelters or whatever.
Gotcha.
Sure.
But it's still, wave defense, so you have to build, turrets and walls and stuff.
Okay.
And you have, a mech that you're running around and killing shit with, and research and buy it. Yeah, it's interesting. I've been playing a decent amount of it. It was on Game Pass, so it was free.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a little more RTS kind of, but it was a little more of a resource management sim than I was expecting.
Gotcha.
But pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
But of course now I'm playing one of those again, which sucks an immense amount of time. So.
Yeah. Oh, I guess for video games, if we're touching on them, I mentioned an episode or two ago about how Tropico 5 I played on Xbox Game Pass and it crashed and I lost like 2 hours of play because it didn't autosave and it pissed me off. Well, then Tropico 6 went on the Steam sale and I bought it and I've been playing the absolute fucking piss out of it. It's really, really hitting pretty spot on with what I want out of a city builder. So that's been nice.
Did you say that there was any major changes between 5 and 6?
I didn't play it.
Well, I know you said you didn't play enough of it to like, but so nothing like super sticks out of your mind just for
there's
a little bit
pretty
of you played.
Yeah, there's pretty clearly a lot more buildings, which is a pretty big difference that I've just definitely noticed. And then I have noticed too, like 5, at least the Xbox Game Pass version, didn't have like the mission-based gameplay as much. Like, whereas that's what I've been doing a lot of on 6 is loading up the mission-based ones where it starts you and it like you basically play through, like you start with a kind of pre-built island and then it's like here's your goals and like requests come in and you have like a storyline you kind of want to complete, and that also is teaching you game mechanics is kind of I think the idea before you just jump into the sandbox, which I really like that kind of focus, gives me something to work towards.
Gotcha.
Although I have no idea how I'm going to beat the one that I'm currently on. I progressed to the modern era, and in the modern era, like things get nuts. Like in some of the earlier eras, there's like 2 other world powers, like because it's loosely divided into like colonial, world wars, Cold War, and modern eras. Mm-hmm. And in like all of those eras before, there's only like 2 other world powers, so you kind of got to balance your relationship with those 2. When you hit modern era, it jumps to like 6, and then each era adds 2 new factions to like your populace. So early on in like the colonial times, there's just like loyalists and revolutionaries, and then I think capitalists and communists. But then they keep adding. So like now I'm up to like 8 different factions, and it gets a lot harder to balance keeping everyone a little bit happy, without like pissing anyone off too much. And so it's getting increasingly hard. I have no idea how I'm going to win the next election. My approval rating is at like 10%. And that's going to be tough to come back from.
It's a little bit of a hurdle. Yeah.
I'm planning on issuing a massive tax cut like 6 months before the election. That tends to help a bit.
That's true. Yeah.
So, but no, I'm enjoying it. It's something new for me to sink into for at least a little while until I get bored with it. So, yeah.
Is it news time?
I think it's news time.
First up in news, we have another version of Love Letter, but it's Star Wars.
Yep. So Z-Man has announced Jabba's Palace, a Love Letter game. For the most part, it looks to be kind of just a reskin of Love Letter.
If we're not trying to win the heart of Jabba, I'm going to be very disappointed.
It looks like, I don't remember who is the 8 in Jabba's the 8 in this, and I don't think that 8 was the princess. And
fucking cowards.
I know. But I mean, it's a little bit.
Would they have Leia?
8 is the princess in Love Letter.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that has a different. It looks like on here Jabba has an ability, which the princess didn't have an ability. Or the ability was if you discard it, you lose.
It seems like this will have like Rebel and Scoundrel.
Jabba's crew.
Yeah.
Rebel Alliance and Jabba's crew that you have to kind of play with. And then it has the ability to play just like the classic Love Letter, but reskinned. It also has an option to add in agenda cards that offer new winning conditions. So like one of them that they mentioned in the article is the Exalted one, which just awards the player with the highest number in hand the victory. But things like Jabba's Court or Rescue Mission awarded to things like the player with the most Palace or Rebel cards, respectively. And like looking at the 3 cards they show, I don't see any obvious symbols of what would make it a Rebel card or a...
these are all Jabba cards, right?
Well, I'm wondering if that symbol in the bottom right, if that's what that is, but I'm not sure.
I've played Outer Rim, and that symbol looks familiar on the right. Yeah.
Then that might be the Palace cards, and then there are Rebel cards that are also mixed in there. So,
yes, that's the symbol for Jabba.
Okay. So then those 3 cards are just Jabba cards. But yeah, available for pre-order now. And actually, it doesn't even look like it's pre-order. Like it says pre-order on all those things, but when I click over to their like pre-order page, it looks like it's just straight up order it. So
it's pre-order
for it is
does
12 to 11.
Oh, yeah. If I click all the way through,
$15, $15 love letter.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yep.
Leia is not who you're playing for. She's the level 5 card and has an ability.
Jabba.
She's the draw 2, keep 1.
Yeah. Luke 7. Okay.
Maybe it is Jabba at 8.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so use the skills of the heroes of the Rebel Alliance and the Palace denizens to defeat your foes and carry out your agenda. And that agenda better be winning the heart of Jabba, or I'm going to be annoyed.
Yeah, so there you go. If you were dying for new version of Love Letter, and or you're just an absolute Star Wars fanatic, there's now Star Wars Love Letter, or will be soon.
Yeah. Next up on news, Mystic Vale is getting another collection. A collection? It's getting a new big box, but it comes with things instead of one piece of foam.
Yes. So this is the new Essentials Edition, and it is going to include the base game and the first 3 expansions, Veil of Magic, Veil of the Wild, and Mana Storm, all in one box.
Yeah, which is good. It's basically just repackaging, so you don't have to buy a shit ton of, like, oh, I bought the first game, but, like, you know, these expansions weren't in stock or anything like that when you're trying to catch up. It's just like, here's to get you at least part of the way there. From what I remember, the Veil of the Wild and Mana Storm added a lot to the game.
Yes.
In terms of replayability and
it added
variability.
The hero cards. It added the amulets that you would use instead of your like bust token.
Mm-hmm.
I think Veil of Magic was just, here's more cards.
Yes. Yeah, Veil of Magic was mostly just more cards.
Which the base game sort of needed. So it's nice that they included the 3 things to be like, well, here's just extra stuff, but then here are like the beginning of the interesting things that we've added into this game over the years. So, like, I think if someone bought the base game now, I would be like, you like buy it, but then you're gonna need these couple expansions. I would agree that this is like an essential edition that, like, if you got this, you would be good at least for a while.
Yeah,
is $90.
It's cheaper. Yeah, which is cheaper than getting the base game and all 3 expansions, assuming you can even find them, because some of them are, I think, a little bit out of print and harder to find these days.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, when we were first planning this, I was trying to remember like my Mystic Veil. I know I have Veil of Magic. I don't know if I actually got. I think I have Veil of the Wild, but I'm pretty sure I don't have Mana Storm.
I feel like
so. I'm debating about.
Yeah, I feel like Jeff was like the one that was keeping up to it, and we only really played that version. So there wasn't a need for like you to get stuff if he was getting it.
Yeah, other than my vague desire to constantly be a completionist in all things.
Well, yeah, you just fulfill that in different ways because you're never going to fully be able to do that. So
true. This does also include 30 dividers, so it is set up to divide things really well if you want to mix and match, especially with some of the later expansions, and it includes a playmat. So That's pretty cool.
Jeff, didn't you say what it was a later expansion that like set it up to where you could play with different sets, right? So like up to this point, it was you can play with everything.
Yeah, I want to say that's right. You still only use a selection of the Tier 1 cards, but everything else was just shuffled together. The big box, which is called Conclave, added those conclaves, which are what actually break up your sets into that you can like mix and match certain cards.
Gotcha.
I want to say they did finally release a small box expansion that added
what Conclave added without the big box?
Or at least it added in the Conclave cards that they had like in PDF form that didn't actually print with the expansions. So that's nice. That came out late 2020, I think. They called it a micro expansion. But yeah, the conclaves that this Essentials edition will come with are probably just the conclaves that are in Conclave, but you don't need the big box because you have a big box.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Also, this comes with cool spirit tokens because they had those little trackers that you would like turn that were like hexes to be like show how many of the different spirits you had, but they were like fucking huge and useless.
Yeah, they were weird.
Yeah, but this comes with tokens, like actual like meeple spirit tokens, which would be cool to have, but I doubt they will be sold separately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't need two copies of the same game for some spirit tokens.
I mean, it's just $90. It's just $90.
Just $90
for some tokens. It's fine.
You just got to sell yours right now before everybody realizes the reprint's coming. When you can still maybe get a good price for it.
Well, mine also has all of the other expansions with.
Well, pull those ones out and sell everything else as a bundle.
Yep.
Jeez, Jeff, I don't know how else to make this easier for you.
I even have the like broken token wooden insert for Conclave.
Oh, hot damn!
Yeah. It's a big fucking insert.
I bet.
Yeah. I think it's mostly full at this point. I don't know if they keep coming, but I mean, I want to say Zach and I sat there and reorganized all the conclaves one time.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
It was like after a stream or something like that, and I was like, "All right, we're doing this." And then I took out all of the day-night stuff I think it was to make the game 6 players. You would basically just play 2 copies of the game at once, so 2 people could be going at once. I just removed it from the box.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
But now I have 2 extra player colors that anyone can choose from, up to 4 players. Yeah, but this seems like a cool set. I mean, if I didn't have it, I would definitely buy this.
Yeah. I'd definitely say if I didn't have it, I would definitely buy it. And I'm still thinking of whether it's worth it to try and move my very small set to get this. So we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like it has a lot of very smart dividers and cool stuff that it sure would have been nice to have originally.
No kidding.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. So
don't buy anything ever.
Yep, pretty much. Look, if Steam sales have told me anything, it's just you can get that game at 75% of whatever you could buy it if you just wait an indeterminate amount of years.
Yep. Yes.
God, I wish board games worked that way.
Sometimes. Or they'll go away forever and you could never buy it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's been more my or you'll spend just way too much money.
Yeah, you'll either spend 75% less or 75% more. It was one of those two and nothing in between.
And I don't feel like it's a coin flip. It's skewed. Right on. Well, that is it for the news. We don't have any Kickstarters again this week. Nothing. We looked at some things and nothing's still really jumping out. This is definitely the down season for crowdfunding for board games anyway.
But yeah, that's always been the case, I feel. So
yeah, definitely. So yeah, nothing there. Which lets us move over to some listener feedback, where there's no new emails, but there is a new comment over on YouTube. In Paulo's corner, coming from Paulo himself on episode 251, Light Cheating. He says, Spider-Man and F1 were spectacular. Mercedes cost Hamilton the championship by their moronic decision to keep Hamilton on the track in the virtual safety car. He had time to go in. When it was the real safety car at the end, that's when he didn't have time to stop. Because if he stopped then, Max wouldn't stop and would be in first place. But the first decision to not stop was what decided the championship. Go, Max.
Mercedes hung Hamilton out to dry to save track position. But with the pace of that car, I mean, even if they pitted him, he probably would have been able to run over Max anyways. But we'll never know.
Nope. Now it will only ever be controversy.
Yeah, and it's still fucking ongoing, too.
I could imagine.
Twitter sucks. All comments suck.
Twitter does suck.
The worst part about sports is the fans.
The worst part about almost everything is the fans.
Yeah.
I've come to realize more and more. Except for us. The best thing about Mile High Game Guys
and all of our
fans.
All of our fans are fantastic. There could be nothing wrong. But we're not a sport. So.
True. But yeah, that was the only bit of listener feedback. If you want to get a hold of us, you can do so in a variety of ways. You can send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I'm Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
Right, I forgot to Untitled about how trash Twitter is. Love it. Instagram.com/MHGameGuys. Someday there will be new board game images up there, I'm sure. Might as well go check it out. See, maybe it's today. Who knows? Facebook.com/MHGameGuys. Podcast episodes go up on Facebook now, so you can go listen over there if you need somewhere to hear our voices. And you can go to punchboardmedia.com to see our episode posts and have links to things like the news and Kickstarter items that we usually talk about. Links to things like our BGG guild number 2731. And most importantly, our Slack channel, where all of the awesome fans of the show hang out nowadays and chat about all kinds of random different stuff. This week, Paul is trying to find something to replace milk. So he's wanting to know what the best non-dairy milk was, which I have not had any success in my life ever finding something that was a non-dairy milk that was at all tolerable to me. So I was not helpful in that discussion.
I've liked oat milk and then coconut milk too. So
I hate coconut. So
you're
just across the board.
Yeah,
I'm a monster. I know.
Everyone has their faults. That one's just particularly bad.
Also, be sure to go follow us and consider subscribing, maybe with maybe with an Amazon Prime subscription to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. We normally stream our Wednesday recordings, which happen on Mondays, over on Twitch. We didn't this week because of the social distance aspect of the show, and streaming just us sitting in front of webcams is not nearly as entertaining. And then at some point, we will start doing board game streams again. We've
probably
got a great...
once the skiing, their snowboarding season's over, I would guess.
Yeah, the big thing that will help there is I'll be going to Monday through Friday at work, so I'll have Saturdays and Sundays again. So we can do big streams on Saturdays and Sundays occasionally, or if we do like a Friday night stream, I won't have to get up for work bright and early in the morning. So yeah, should open up a lot of opportunities to get back in the swing of things when I return to a somewhat normal human schedule, which I'm of mixed feelings about, but I'm trying to remain cautiously optimistic. That wraps up everything, I think. Yeah. So thanks everybody for tuning in. This is a little bit shorter-ish episode, still about an hour 20.
Longer than last week's. That was like an hour and 5. Yeah.
Okay. I lost track of how long last week's was.
I remember at one point I was like, I just want to make sure that we at least get past the hour mark, which we did. I remember the regular time was an hour 10. I think it shrunk down to an hour 105, somewhere around there.
Okay. Well, there you go. Stats have been padded a little bit on this one to make sure and get it all the way across the finish line.
Dense, rich content episode, though. So.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back next week. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Jeff Patrol.
Bye.
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 where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.